Two companies that help businesses get a better handle on customer feedback.
That's cool.
What really caught my eye was that HappyOrNot works with over 4,000 brands globally.
Wow. That's a lot of smiley faces.
That is a lot of smiley faces.
Yeah, you know what's really interesting about them? They've made giving feedback so simple. You've probably seen those smiley terminals, right?
I think so.
The little kiosks with the happy, neutral, and sad faces.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I have seen those.
It's such a simple way to get a quick read on how customers are feeling.
Yeah, I usually see them when I'm leaving a store or like in a hospital waiting room or something.
Exactly.
Like I've always wondered,
Yeah.
are those little smiley faces really enough to give businesses like real insights?
Well, they're just the start. Think of those smiley terminals as like a gateway to a much bigger system.
Okay.
HappyOrNot's platform gathers all that data, you know, the smiles, frowns, and everything in between. And then it analyzes it to find trends and patterns.
So it's not just about collecting the data.
No, not at all.
It's about understanding what it all means, right?
Exactly. That's where the real value is.
Okay, so how does that actually translate into more money for a business? Can you give me an example?
Sure. Let's say you own a coffee shop.
Okay.
And you see this dip in customer satisfaction every morning during the rush.
Oh, not good.
By digging into the HappyOrNot data, you might discover that the problem is long wait times.
Okay.
With that knowledge, you can try different things. Maybe add another barista during peak hours or streamline your ordering process.
Gotcha.
By fixing the problem, you make customers happier.
Makes sense.
Which means more repeat business, and that means more revenue.
So it's not just about getting feedback. It's about figuring out why people are giving that feedback and then making changes based on that, right?
Exactly. It's all about turning data into action.
Yeah.
And that's something HappyOrNot does really well.
Okay.
Their platform doesn't just show you a bunch of numbers. It gives you clear insights that you can use to actually make decisions.
I see.
Actionable insights.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
What about all those stats we always hear about happy customers leading to higher profits? Is there any truth to that?
Oh, definitely. There's been tons of research on this. Studies show that 93% of customers are more likely to buy again from companies with excellent service.
Wow.
And a whopping 91% are happy to recommend those companies to others.
So that's like free advertising.
Pretty much.
Wow. Those are some impressive stats.
Right.
I have to admit, though,
Yeah.
I'm always a little skeptical.
Yeah, I get that.
Just because two things are related doesn't necessarily mean one caused the other, right?
That's a fair point.
Have you seen any examples where businesses actually made more money after using HappyOrNot?
Oh, absolutely. There are tons of case studies. One that comes to mind is this big retail chain that was struggling with really long checkout lines.
Oh, I hate that.
Everyone does. They decided to put HappyOrNot smiley terminals by their registers,
Okay.
just to get a sense of how people were feeling about the checkout process.
Makes sense.
They looked at the data and realized that the lines were getting super backed up during peak hours.
Oh, okay.
So they used this info to change their staffing levels
Okay.
and streamline the whole checkout process.
And did it work?
It did. Wait times went down, customer satisfaction went up, and they even saw a noticeable increase in sales.
So even small changes based on customer feedback can make a real difference.
Absolutely. And that's the beauty of HappyOrNot's system.
Yeah.
It makes collecting and analyzing that feedback super easy.
We've been talking about those smiley terminals.
Yeah.
But I'm curious about their other tools.
Oh, yeah, they have a bunch of options.
Can you tell me more about them?
Sure. HappyOrNot knows that businesses need different ways to gather feedback.
Yeah, different situations call for different approaches, right?
Exactly. So they've created a whole suite of tools, each designed to capture customer sentiment at various points in their experience.
Earlier, you mentioned something called Smiley Touch.
Oh, right.
What is that exactly?
It's like a digital version of the Smiley terminal, perfect for areas with lots of foot traffic where you need quick feedback. It's a sleek touchscreen device that lets people simply tap their level of satisfaction. You often see them in fast food restaurants, airports, even event venues.
So it's all about convenience.
Exactly.
What about Smiley Digital? How does that fit in?
Smiley Digital is for online feedback.
Oh, interesting.
Businesses can put feedback forms right on their website or in emails.
Oh, I see.
It's a great way to understand how satisfied online customers are with things like your website, online ordering, or customer service interactions.
So it's like having those smiley face terminals,
Yeah.
but in the digital world.
Precisely.
So if a business uses a combination of all these different tools,
Right.
they can get a complete picture of the whole customer journey.
Right. Exactly. And that's where things get really interesting.
Let's hold that thought. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll pick up right where we left off. So we were just talking about how HappyOrNot gives businesses these different tools to gather feedback.
Right, yeah.
But it feels like there's more to it than just collecting those smiley faces and frowns, you know?
Absolutely. The real magic happens after you get that feedback.
Okay.
HappyOrNot's platform takes all that data and turns it into something you can actually use.
So it's not just about the data itself.
No, not at all.
It's about what you do with it.
Exactly. And they make it really easy for businesses to understand their data and then act on it. They have these reporting dashboards that are super user-friendly, even if you're not a data expert.
Can you give me an example? Like, what would one of these dashboards look like, and how would a business actually use it?
Okay, imagine you're running a hotel.
Okay.
You log into your HappyOrNot dashboard, and you see an overview of your customer satisfaction scores.
Yeah.
Across different areas like check-in, cleanliness, overall experience, that sort of thing.
Got it.
Let's say you notice that your breakfast buffet has been getting consistently low scores for the past few weeks.
Oh, that's not good.
No, not ideal.
But how can you fix it?
Well, this is where the data gets really interesting.
Okay.
HappyOrNot lets you dig deeper into the feedback specifically for the breakfast buffet.
Okay.
You can see what people are saying, what they're complaining about. You can even filter the data by time of day of the week, or even customer demographics.
So you might discover that most of the negative feedback is coming from business travelers during the week, like at the Monday morning breakfast rush.
Exactly. Now you have some real information to work with.
Yeah, you can actually start brainstorming solutions.
Right. Maybe you need to expand the buffet, offer more options. Or maybe you need to add more staff to keep things moving faster during those peak times.
It's like having a direct line to your customers' thoughts and feelings, but in a way that you can actually measure and track.
Exactly. You can make decisions based on what your customers are actually telling you.
But what about privacy? All this customer data, is there any concern there?
That's a great question, and something HappyOrNot takes very seriously.
Okay, good.
They're committed to protecting privacy and complying with all those data protection rules like GDPR.
Okay, that's reassuring.
Yeah.
But just to clarify for our listeners, what exactly is GDPR?
GDPR stands for General Data Protection Regulation.
Okay.
It's a big data protection law in the European Union. It sets strict rules for how companies can handle personal data.
So any business using HappyOrNot can be confident that their customer data is being handled responsibly.
Absolutely. HappyOrNot is all about data security and privacy.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah, they use encryption to protect data, and they give customers control over their information.
Gotcha.
Like the right to access it, change it, or even delete it.
So we've talked about analyzing the data.
Yeah.
But I'm curious how HappyOrNot actually helps businesses act on those insights. Like, it's one thing to know there's a problem,
Yeah.
but actually fixing it is a whole other story.
You're absolutely right. Data is useless if you don't do anything with it. That's why HappyOrNot goes beyond just reporting.
Okay.
They have tools to help businesses make changes and then track how well those changes are working.
Can you give me an example?
Let's go back to our hotel manager with the breakfast buffet problem.
Okay.
Once they've made some changes based on the feedback, they can use HappyOrNot to see if those changes are actually making a difference.
In real time.
Exactly. So let's say they added more staff to the buffet.
Okay.
They can monitor the feedback and see if satisfaction scores start to go up.
That's so cool.
It is. They can track the data over time, make more adjustments if needed, and really fine-tune things until they're consistently delivering a great breakfast experience.
It's like a constant feedback loop, always getting better.
Exactly.
We've talked a lot about HappyOrNot.
Yeah.
But what about Happy Team? Where do they fit in?
Happy Team is HappyOrNot's exclusive partner in Sweden.
Okay.
They bring HappyOrNot solutions to Swedish businesses and provide local support.
So they're kind of like the on-the-ground expert.
Precisely. They
Sure.
really understand the needs of the Swedish market.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
I think we've covered a lot.
we have.
But I want to make sure our listeners really understand why this is all so important.
Yeah, definitely.
Why should they care? What's the big takeaway here?
The big takeaway is that customer experience is everything these days. Businesses that really listen to their customers and act on their feedback will have a huge advantage.
But how do you actually turn that feedback into, real results?
It's all about closing the loop.
Okay.
HappyOrNot gives you the tools to do that, to turn feedback into a driver of growth.
And the best part is,
Well, I guess you'll have to wait and see.
you'll have to stick around for part 3 to find out. Okay, so we're back and ready to wrap up our deep dive into HappyOrNot and Happy Team.
Yeah, it's been a really interesting look at how they're helping businesses use feedback.
We've talked about those smiley face terminals.
The data analysis.
The whole 9 yards.
It's quite a system.
But before we finish up,
Yeah.
I want to talk about something that's super important to all this.
Okay.
The human element.
Oh, absolutely. Technology can give you the data, but it's people who actually make the changes happen.
Exactly. So how does HappyOrNot help those employees who are interacting with customers every day?
It gives them the tools and the information to make a real difference.
Okay, I'm following you.
Imagine you're a cashier at a busy grocery store.
Yeah.
You see those smiley face terminals all the time?
Right.
But you might not know what happens with that feedback.
You're probably just focused on getting people through the line as quickly as possible, right?
Exactly. But what if your manager actually shared the HappyOrNot data with you?
Interesting.
What if they showed you how all those smiley faces and frowns translate into real insights that can improve the checkout experience?
Okay, I see where you're going with this.
You'd be more than just a cashier, right?
Right, you'd be part of a team that's actively working to make things better for customers.
That's a good feeling, right?
It is. And I bet it would make you a lot more motivated to do your job well.
Absolutely. And that can have a huge ripple effect on the entire customer experience.
It creates a culture where everybody is invested in customer success.
Exactly. And you can't create that kind of culture with technology alone.
So it takes more than just data.
Yeah, it takes a change in mindset.
Putting the customer first.
Exactly. And HappyOrNot is helping businesses make that shift.
Their platform doesn't just collect data.
No, it doesn't.
It helps businesses understand what that data means and then gives their employees the power to act on it.
It's a pretty powerful combination.
It is. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one thing you really want our listeners to take away?
I think the most important thing to remember is that turning feedback into revenue isn't just about putting up a smiley face terminal. It's about building a culture where you actually listen to your customers.
Okay.
Where their feedback is valued and acted upon.
So it's about using data to empower employees.
Yes.
And ultimately make things better for everyone.
Exactly. It's a win-win.
This has been a fascinating look at HappyOrNot and Happy Team.
I've really enjoyed this deep dive.
Me too. And to all our listeners, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for listening.
We hope you found this exploration helpful and maybe even a little inspiring.
And remember, feedback is a gift.
So true. Use it wisely.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
That's a wrap on our deep dive into HappyOrNot and Happy Team. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep those smiley faces coming.